So we're going to be talking about programming operators, and this is in general across most of the curly brace block format. So whenever you've got languages like JavaScript and Java and C, C++, PHP, all those guys that use those curly brace type format, they also have a lot of very common operators that they use. And it's good to know those, because if you program in as many languages as I do, you sometimes forget which operator you're supposed to use. Which one does that language have? And I usually try the most common one, and if it doesn't work, it gives me a compile error. I use the next most common one. If that doesn't work, well, then I go and look it up. But I make sure it tests. I make sure I run a test before I release a program that has a questionable operator in it. And usually it will trigger it right away because it just doesn't identify the token as it's compiling or as it's trying to get it ready for interpretation. It just says, hey, I don't recognize this at all. What are you trying to say here? So, but these are general, these are a number of the different operators that you're going to use to do assignment and various different actions, including comparisons. And we're even going to look at combinations of things and the mechanics of how do these operators work. So that way, if you're getting ready to do one of your more complex operations with your operators, you'll know how to really look and see how does the computer look at that. So, yeah, let's take a look here. First of all, assignment operation, assignment operators. Declaration, a variable type, followed by the variable that you want to use. Declaration with the assignment. You're going to have the variable type, the variable name, equals whatever the new value is. Basic type assignment, just assigning something to the variable, would be the variable equals whatever the new value is. And your multiple assignment means you're going to have an assignment equals, or a variable equals another variable equals some value, and that some value is going to be assigned to both those other variables. So it just kind of passes through both, and is set to y is set to x. So both of those in this example, as that's a 0, they would both become zeros. Let's take a look at math now. Now, most of this is arithmetic, basic. You use a plus sign, you use a minus sign. Plus is probably the most common one also for strings across some languages, but strings you're probably more efficient to look up a string rather than guess because it's so different. But the plus is, if I was going to guess, I'd do the plus. If the plus doesn't work, I'd look it up. But yeah, that's what I would do, working with whatever language I'm going to be dealing with. But strings are, yeah. But x cannot be used for multiplication. That's what we used in arithmetic, but on a computer, x would be a variable. I mean, we just used it on our last screen. So we use star. Star is so commonly used, I don't think there's a language out there that doesn't recognize star for multiplication. Actually, I think there was once one. I just can't recall what it was for. It's an old computer system. And it was like back from the 70s. So it's been a while. Most modern ones will recognize your star. And slash is for your division. So, 30 slash 5 equals 6. Which in that case, you would be, if you assigned x to equal 30 slash 5, x would become 6. All right, so, and then we've got modulus, which is remainder after division. That means whenever you take like, say that, let's say 32 divided by 6, it would be 5 remainder 2. So the modulus would be the 2. So 32%, would I say 6? It doesn't really matter if it's 5 or 6. And if we did that and assigned that to x, x would then become 2. And we've also got increment and decrement operators. Those are very common as well, and some languages support it and some not so much. You just want to double check that. It's one that's not as common. If you're in doubt, it might just be more efficient to say the variable equals the variable plus 1 or minus 1. That way you don't have to worry about that. But if you know, then that's a good shorthand. Just put the variable plus plus means the variable is going to be added 1 to it. Variable minus minus, variable is going to have 1 taken away from it. So it's a very good shorthand. So now let's take a look at comparison operators. Now, PHP has some exceptions here, in the sense here that you've got your equals. These are for more general checking with PHP, but there are some other ones that they've got that are for more exact comparison. It's got a lot of good comparison operators. You should go through the PHP manual and take a look at the operators list if you're going to be using a lot of PHP. But these also work in PHP programs as well. So in this case, it's double equals for equal to. If you use a single equal, it's going to take that as an assignment operator. And that's not really a comparison that's going to be done. It's just going to be assigning. So it's a great way to make a logic error in your code. Use the double equals for comparison. And that's the exclamation mark. Equals, it means not equal to. Yeah, less than, greater than, that's standard textbook math. And then these are important that you get them in the correct order. It's less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. Make sure the equals is over here on the right. If it's over there on the left, it probably will not be recognized. I actually haven't seen very many of them that will recognize it. It's it won't. Yeah, it's not expecting it. It's expecting it to be that exact string for that. So your greater number would be over here on this side, or is your greater number over here on this side? And if that's not true, then it won't return true. So logical operators. This takes Booleans and returns a Boolean. So you can take, for example, on AND, you have to have both on either side being true for it to return a true. So if x equals true ampersand ampersand false, then x is going to be false. It's going to be a straight false. Anything other than true and true on either side of that is going to return false. True and true is going to return true. Anything else is false. Now, OR is not an exclusive OR. It's a double pipe. Pipe is just above your backslash, which is, yeah, it's just above your backslash on most standard keyboards. Hit shift backslash and you should have a pipe. That's a double pipe for the OR operator. That means either side can be true and it will return true, but it's going to return false if both are false. And then you have your not operator, which is your exclamation mark. So this would be useful, let's say I want to do, if you wanted to reverse a Boolean somewhere. So false, if you used an exclamation mark in a variable that equaled false, or an expression that came out to false, it's going to give you true on the other side. So x equals exclamation mark and some expression. That some expression is true, x became false. That some expression is false, x became true. It's a reverser. So let's take a look real quick at combining operators. These guys here are these are shorthand arithmetic, and yeah, so we've got addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And the basic general gist here is you're going to take a variable and you're going to use that operator to assign to that variable, to add to that variable itself. So you're going to add whatever value it is over on this side. This is the side that you're going to add to. So, yeah, I mean, like, you know, if x is 5, and we ran it through this, it'd be the same as this. It'd be the same as 5 equals 5 plus, or x equals 5 plus 5, which means x will be 10. 10 will be assigned to x. And then over here we've got an example of the logic and the really combination and the mechanics. This is where I'm going to explain the mechanics a little bit more of these operators and what exactly does the computer look at on these. Now, parenthesis affects the order of operations. That's why I've also thrown these guys in there. I haven't seen a language where they are not supported for that. Using the parenthesis, it means this is taken into account and this will be turned into an expression before it even looks at anything else. Then it comes across here and turns this into an expression. And then it can take those two expressions and compare them against the AND. Now, we're going to take x and we're going to say that it's 10 as we left it from our last usage. And in our case, we are checking to see, so x is greater than or equal to 1. Is 10 greater than or equal to 1? True. So we have a true right over here, and that's what that expression comes out to. And the computer's going to look right over here, and it's going to turn this here into an expression. And if I was going to assign this to a variable, you know, if this was this here was going to be, we're just going to put an equals over here and assign it to a variable, that assignment is that result of that expression. And sometimes you might want to put it in parentheses to enforce that that's what happens. Just in case it's got some other ideas. Occasionally compilers get weird or interpreters get weird. Does seem like I remember having one that didn't really want to assign anything. It just didn't return anything on that. But it does recognize that to become a Boolean. That's what these comparisons do and these logicals do. They return Booleans. And so over here we have 10. Is 10 less than or equal to 6? False. So this expression became false while this expression became true. And ampersand ampersand means they better both be and. They better, this is an and. yeah, ampersand, and. They better both be true. And they're not. Which means this entire expression is all going to become false. But if I had a number between 1 and 6 and threw it into this, I would get true. If I had 0, I would get false. If I had 7, I'd get true. I'm sorry, if I had 7, I'd get false as well, because I'm over there above 6. If I have 6, I'm true. If I have 1, I'm true. It's got to be in that range, inclusive. And that's why I've got that less than or equals to, greater than or equals to. That's how we can use those operators in combination to like select a range or something like that. Thank you for watching.